Picture this. You're in front of your latest prospect, closing the biggest deal of your life. Your pitch decks were perfect. Your scripts, flawless. And when the time came to answer the golden question of, are you ready to move forward? Nothing happened. For everyone who loves sales, this is their worst nightmare. But fear not, because in this podcast, we're unraveling the enigma behind those missed opportunities. From appointments that evaporate to presentations that felt like a Broadway show but ended in awkward silence, we're dissecting it all. Welcome to Love Your Sales.
This podcast is presented by GenHead. GenHead leverages AI so small and medium-sized businesses can find their ideal clients to make more sales. Other companies talk about AI, but we are using it every day to drive down marketing costs and increase revenue. Learn more at genhead.com. That's genhead.com.
Welcome to another episode of Love Your Sales. I'm really excited. I am joined by Ryan Atkinson. He is 25 years of age, an entrepreneur who owns and leads two companies, Spacebar Visuals and Magic Media. Ryan grew up in Iowa and attended the University of Iowa. After graduating, he moved to Boston to work as a BDR at HubSpot. After a year, he pivoted to a new role in marketing for a health tech company and also moved to Austin, Texas. At this time, he started his first company, Magic Media, which is a podcast agency providing production needs and interview needs. A year ago, he started Spacebar Visuals with his co-founder, Bryan, in which they create animated videos for SaaS companies. In early November, Ryan left his full-time job to run these companies full-time. Ryan has managed 70 plus people in his career already, hosted 185 interviews, created 125K in revenue in the past year, and partnered with some of the biggest brands in the world. In his free time, he enjoys working out, reading, traveling, and being with friends. Ryan, I am so thrilled to have you join me on the podcast today.
Yeah, super excited to be here. The intro is nice. You read that off like very nicely. So yeah, super pumped to be here and yeah, chop it up with you and your audience. So yeah, super excited.
So you are a very young entrepreneur. Right out of the gate, it looks like you've explained. Have you always had that entrepreneurial experience, or I guess what would be the right word? Bug.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, so I was actually very lucky and very grateful to have my stepdad and my mom. They actually both run their own companies. So my stepdad owns a flooring business up in Minnesota. My mom owns her own hair salon, and even my dad like dabbles in like short-term like Airbnb rental. So I was always raised by entrepreneurs, and I knew I wanted, once I got out of school, to do my 3 W's, and that's work whenever I want, work with whoever I want, and work like what I want to do. So I knew coming out of school that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was part of the University of Iowa's like founders clubs. I had my own podcast interviewing entrepreneurs when I was a senior in college. So yeah, from a young age, like I knew I wanted to start my own company, and it wasn't a matter of like if, it was more a matter of when. And so when I was like 23, 24, however old I was, that came to fruition. And yeah, now 25, have done some fun stuff. Very grateful for what I do. Have built an awesome team. So yeah, very grateful for what I do. And yeah, started basically from my parents though, that entrepreneurial bug.
That's amazing. And I think that you're doing it right. You're doing it at an age where and I don't want to say lower risk, but it's you don't have the. And again, I don't know you extremely well, but I'm going to say you don't have that house, you don't have the kids, you don't have all of those extra. And again, some people can, but you don't have all of those weighing responsibilities where you're like, oh, okay, I have to have this paycheck coming in all of the time.
Yep.
It's great to get that started when you have that opportunity and to really just dive in full. And I'm not saying that everybody out there should do it because you have to have a certain, mindset to be able to to do that. So let's start with, I guess, what steps did you take? Who did you lean on in order
Yeah.
to really figure out and navigate the world of business ownership?
Yeah, I mean, it's a learning process. It always is a learning process. Any business owner will be able to relate. Like you learn something new like every day, just like the skills you acquire and everything. But how the process really got started, going to Space Visuals, basically November 2022. I was just mindlessly scrolling on Twitter and I came across a tweet that was like, hey, I just sold my last company, looking to start another company, looking for like a co-founder to help me do it. And that was Brandon. And so kind of just shot my shot through email, sent him an email, attached like a little Loom video on it, like going over my resume, being like, hey, like I always want to start a company, would love to do this with you type of thing. And the stars aligned. We hit it off very well. And that's kind of how Spacebar Visuals was born. So Brandon's 30 right now. He's about 5 years older than me. And I've leaned heavily on him for like mentorship and how do I run a business? How do I actually act as a CEO, act as like someone that needs to actually run a company that's not just like for fun, but like actually generates revenue and like hits revenue targets and has certain profitability margins. So leaning a lot on him just for mentorship has been awesome. Having a co-founder in him has been incredible. But a lot of it is navigating business ownership always just comes down to making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, kind of building the ship as you go. So yeah, I like to think that I'm starting to get a little bit of the handles on it, but I still have like a very long ways to go, which is very exciting because it's just at the very, very beginning of like business ownership and like actually running a company successfully.
And I love that. Every entrepreneur, salespeople, people are out there who are literally laying their cards on the table saying, hey, like work with me, come in. There's a common thread among all of them, which is, hey, I'm willing to make mistakes. I'm
Yeah.
willing to, and I love that about,
Mhm.
I love that about those individuals, that not only are they willing to make their mistakes, they're willing to own those mistakes
Yep.
and then learn from them and move on. So let's talk about that. You mentioned a 3-step process that you used to, to bring Spacebar Visuals, to really grow that revenue to what,
Mhm.
100K,
Year one.
100K in year one. So let's talk about let's talk about that process. Let's talk about how you did that.
Yeah. So the 3-step process. So basically what happened is we got to about 100K, over 100K in revenue in our first year. And like I was working this on the side for the first like 8 months of it. And so we hit 110K. And once you hit 100K, you're kind of like, oh, smokes, like we actually got to have something here. It's like crazy to say like your agency is it like a 6-figure agency. Like I think that is still like crazy to think about. So a 3-step process that we used here at Spacebar Visuals, kind of giving the secret formula out on how someone else could do this is basically it's kind of like a 4-step. Step one was, it's kind of like a 5-step. Step one is identify your ICP here. Like we really nailed our ICP to start out with our ideal customer profile. We knew we were going to go after marketing directors. We knew we were going to go after SaaS companies, and we knew we were going to go after like smaller to mid-sized companies, employee size, like 11 to 100. We really nailed our ICP. So if you are wanting to start a company, if you are wanting to grow sales, definitely nail your ICP. That's how who you're messaging to, and make sure you know it.
Explain what an ICP is.
Yep. Ideal customer profile, synonymous with like target audience. Who are you actually selling to? So we really wanted to hit that and nail that to start. And that's the foundation of like everything that we do. So kind of going to that next process, then what we did is we do a lot of outbound here. We're trying to ramp up our inbound, but I can't give advice on that. I can give advice on outbound and how to do that effectively. So what we did is once we had that ICP, we just got a list from Upwork. We hired someone for like $15 to get us like 150 contacts, like whatever that comes out to be. From there, then we got their emails, we got their phone numbers. And you hit them in 3 ways here. So you'll upload this list into whatever platform you use, HubSpot, Instantly, Salesforce, et cetera, et cetera. You have one list. We cold email them. We send them a message on LinkedIn, and then we also will cold call them. So we're hitting them 3 different ways, 3 different touch points. You're sending 5 emails, 3 LinkedIn messages, and then cold calling them as well. And that was one of the most effective ways that we grew from basically 0 to 50K was pretty scrappy, but 50K to 100K is truly how we got that to that next level, is through that 3, 4, 5-step process.
And that's amazing. So, and a lot of people are sitting there, even myself who runs my own business,
Yeah.
sitting there going, okay, that's great. You bring in the clients, but then there's the execution.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, and I was just going to say, so you bring these clients in. So now you have to execute on that work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna guess that you have a process, a solid process, because you can't survive if you're bringing in business and not executing properly.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And we actually, so up until about last month, late April, I was actually handling all the account management of like video projects, doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that, just moving the projects along. But we actually brought someone on to do that for me because my unique skill set, I think it's very important if you are a leader, if you're wanting to start a business, like what's your unique skill set and how can you free up your time as much as possible to really dive into that? And my unique skill set, like truly is like selling, like actually closing deals. It's not dealing with video projects and all that stuff. So we brought Matthew Chin on, who's awesome. Matt, if you're listening to this, I love the work that you do and I'm very grateful for you. But essentially, he handles now all of our account management. We have our SOP, standard operating process, in place. We have our video editors. And so, yeah, him doing that has freed up 50% of my time, which has been humongous for our sales process and actually refining that sales process to make it better and more efficient.
That's awesome. And it's so something else that we talk about, that I've talked about a lot on this podcast, is working in, making sure that you are in your working genius. Like,
Yeah.
because when you fall outside of that, what takes somebody, when I'm in my area of genius, I can execute on that work. Like, it takes me
Yeah.
5 minutes to do a function. When I'm outside of my area of working genius, what would take somebody 5 minutes to do that takes me a half an hour, because I'm like, oh my God, how do I wait? I know how to do this, but it
Yeah.
drains you, right?
Yep.
And all of us, especially when you start as a solopreneur or a 2-person team, you're like, okay, well, I'm great. I can bring in the sales like all day long. I can sell, 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 but then I have to execute. And
Mm.
that, especially for a true salesperson, they're like, wait, I have to execute on this.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a lot how businesses start. Like,
Yeah.
either you're really great at the thing you're selling, but you're a horrible salesperson, which means, and again, I say that
Yeah.
lightly, you're not the greatest salesperson, because you want to do, let's say you're a coach, as an example. I'm a great coach, but selling it, now you have a problem, because how do
Yeah.
you scale if you can't sell? You bring in a
Well,
coaching client, so that's awesome. But it always comes down to what comes first, the chicken or the egg.
exactly. So that's funny enough, today I was actually on a sales call where someone was like pitching me their like copywriting services, and like their copy to get me on that call for their email was incredible. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'll book a meeting with you right away. I think I booked a meeting in like 10 minutes because like this is like incredible copy. Like I will do this. Got on the call with them, and it was like the most awkward, like disgustingly awkward sales call I've ever had in my like entire life. I'm not even kidding. Like I was like, I was having to like probe him, like, so what do you do? Like, what's your process? Like, and it was just so hard, and it just left such a bad taste in my mouth, where like the sales was so bad that like I just can't move forward with it. It is like so hard, but I'm sure it's good, but I just can't move forward.
Because the person's a copywriter, not as
Exactly.
right. And that, as a salesperson, when somebody reaches out to me and like they have a really, really good pitch, I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued. Like
Yeah.
you did a really good job to intrigue me, and I'll actually like meet with that person. But you're right. Often, all of a sudden, they're like, and if you're, and if you have to get them to sell you,
Oh my God. Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm moving on. I'm, I'm moving on. Like, but because it's not their area of genius.
Yeah. So I think if you are like wanting to start a company or scale, like definitely find your area of genius and then hire someone to cover up your weaknesses for you. And that's been like, that has easily been one of the best things here at Space Bar Visuals for us, is getting someone to do account management, where like I could do it. And like maybe like I think I like to think I do a good job managing clients, but like at the same time, my time could be freed up somewhere else to actually like grow this company instead of doing the account management. So yeah, I 1,000% agree. Find your area of expertise and double down in that area of expertise.
Right. And that's the same way that you should, that I've talked to other people, is the same way you should manage people. Now you've
Mm-hmm.
managed what, 70 plus people.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What are these? Are these salespeople? Are these all different types of people?
Yeah, so it's all different types of people. I mean, it truly has ranged from ages like 15 to like 65 plus. I was grateful enough, like when I was 18, I got my first management gig at a pool, which was great. I like managed the concession stand. So then that next year I got promoted to manage the concession stands and lifeguards. And that was like 36 people in one summer that I'm like directly managing at age like 19, which it was probably the best job I've ever had, honestly, being a pool manager.
Right.
Then I've had like a few other leadership positions within some athletic clubs, and then Space Art Visuals. We're at like 15, 16 people I'm managing right now. So yeah, it's been a great experience to be able to gain like leadership skills like at a pretty young age. But yeah, my leadership principles is like always treat your people right and like always be there for them. I don't view it as like if someone works for me, like I tell everyone that I hire everyone that I work with, like, if you work for me, like, I will look out for your best interests in any way that's possible. Like, what are your personal goals? What are your professional goals? And like, how can I help you get there? Because how I view it is if your people succeed, you succeed. It's not you succeed first and then your people succeed. You need to have your people, the people that you hire, succeed for you to succeed. So giving them the resources, giving them the time, giving them the energy that they deserve is one of my biggest like leadership principles. And I am very grateful for the team at Space Art Visuals. Like we've got some amazing people on this team that I'm so happy I get to work with. I have great working relationships with, but yeah, you got to make your people successful for you to be successful.
That's awesome. And a lot of people that I talk with, we talk about what we were just talking, the area of genius
Mm-hmm.
and then their weaknesses, and helping them leverage that
Yeah.
working. And I keep talking about working. It's a book that anyways, but,
Yeah.
now now I have to remember the author here. And I'm trying to remember, but, I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyways, I talk about this a lot because as a manager, you want to basically ignore their strengths, right?
Yeah.
You let them fly,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then help them with the weaknesses. Remove
Mm-hmm.
any roadblocks that they may have so that they can continue to fly and succeed.
Yeah.
And I've talked a lot about that, especially salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
Do you manage salespeople?
Yeah, so we have a BDR on our team that I like directly manage. So yeah, I manage him, I guess. But yeah, Cody, his name's Cody Tran. He's also incredible. I love Cody to death. He's good stuff. But yeah, I manage him.
So let's shift a little bit. What do you think that the greatest challenge that you have had thus
Mm.
far in your career?
Oh man, the biggest challenge. I don't know the biggest one is. I think we've had some unexpected challenges being like a CEO. Honestly, like one of them is just like quite frankly, like owning up to the role. Like I'm 25 and it's like crazy to think like when I actually talk to people, it's like, and they're like, oh, what do you do for work? Or like, what's your job title? It's like, I'm a CEO. And so it's acting like a CEO and like actually putting those systems in place. So understanding the duties of like what a effective CEO does, I'm still learning it every day. Like I am far from perfect on how I operate here. But I'm learning it every day. Another unexpected challenge, honestly, is hiring. Hiring was one of the hardest things I have done. Like you just get so many applicants. A lot of them, like there's some that like really stand out. The ones that really stand out, you interview them and like they're all like kind of the same. So it's like, oh, who's going to be good? Like, what do we do? So I would say like owning up to the role and like taking ownership of the role is super important, of course, but like it's just a learning process of like how to be an effective CEO. And then also hiring. Hiring has been a very unexpected challenge, but it's something that you absolutely need to get right.
So, and I think hiring is probably the one of the biggest challenges for any organization, because you're
Yeah.
right, you have to get it right, because it's extremely expensive to hire somebody and then have to fire somebody if they're not living up to that, to the expectations. And we all hope that the people that we hire are going to hold themselves accountable the same way that we hold ourselves accountable. And most entrepreneurs set their own bar. You know, if it's a normal average bar, you know, we're usually like
a little bit higher, definitely higher,
somewhere in the clouds, and everybody's going, why do you put this pressure on yourself? And you're like,
yep.
I don't, am I?
Yeah.
But what do you think? What characteristics do you think that you have that help those people really? What do they see in you that makes them, you know, want to truly succeed for your organization?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think like people that truly like work for me like can feel that like I am extremely grateful that anyone that takes a chance on like Spacebar Visuals to like actually work here. Like I am incredibly grateful for that. And I feel like they can really feel that. They get the I like to think anyways, obviously I'm saying my own thing, so it's all biased here, but I like to think I give them like very good support on like what they do. Like, how can I be a resource for you? What do you need from me? Like, how can I help you succeed? I feel like that's like something like I said, like I am very invested in like your own personal development and professional development. And if you're at Space Art Visuals, like I'm going to find a way to make you succeed. I cannot promise I'm going to get you there. Like I just can't promise that, but I can promise you like I'm going to actually try to get you there. I'm going to work very hard for you to fulfill all your goals. I read Traction recently. I don't know who the author is. I keep referencing this book, but Traction, a lot of business owners have read it. It's a very executive book. But we got our core values actually from that. We did like a core values exercise. So next time we do go to hire, like we really do want to hire based on our core values and make sure they're aligning with it.
And what are your core values?
Yeah. So it's we actually have an acronym. It's reflict. So it's resilience, entrepreneurial mindset, have fun, whatever. Reflict. Make sure I'm spelling this right. L is leadership, I is integrity, and C is like collaboration. So we want people that have those core values, and it's just some of the core values and common characteristics that we have here at Spacebar Visuals.
Right. And that's important. It's important for your team to know what is a value to you and to your and co-founder.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have created a company that people want to work at.
Oh, geez.
and therefore will work harder, right? And I shouldn't say harder, work smarter. I don't like saying work harder.
You're good. Yeah.
But right. Work smarter and do a good job for your organization. So tell me a little bit more about what your company does, Spacebar Visuals.
Yeah. So what we do is we are a video production agency. So we do animated videos. We do like product demos, customer testimonials. We'll do event videos. We'll repurpose like a blog or white paper into like a 60-second video. And yeah, we handle the script writing, the storyboarding, the animation, the voiceover. So like I said earlier, we work with like marketing people with smaller companies, and our value proposition like truly is like, you're a marketing director, you wear 30 different hats, you don't have time to do video, you want to do video. We help with all that to make it a really streamlined process for you. So that's truly like what we do and kind of our value add.
All the things that, you know, pretty much every company needs when they're a growing organization. Exactly. And they don't have time to, and that goes really well with your previous venture, or I'm sorry, not previous, but you're also running the other organization, but Magic Media. So it sounds like that marries extremely well with that.
Yeah, I've always been super interested in like media and just like content, I guess you can say. That's always just been something that I've been personally interested in. And yeah, I remember when I spoke with Brandon actually back in November 2022. We were like, what do we want to do together? And we were like, well, what are we interested in? And it was like media. We're interested in selling to B2B. We're interested in selling to marketing people. And so we originally came up with 3 different ideas of either like a ghostwriting agency for executives, a newsletter growth agency, a ghostwriting, then newsletter growth, and then like a video production agency. So we wanted to blend our interests of like media, selling to B2B, selling to marketers into a company. And so, yeah, that's something I've always just been super interested in. that's more advice I'd give to someone if you are starting a company. Find what you're interested in, know what you're interested in, and
Right.
create something based on that.
Right. And that's awesome. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um, it, marrying those, what you had previously been running and then kind of shifting that to almost be able to support clients that you had brought in the
Yeah, yeah.
past.
Exactly. Yeah. In Magic Media, a lot of that is just like podcasting stuff.
Right.
So that started basically from freelancing as well. Just
Right.
doing like simple like guest outreach. And I was like, oh, maybe I should actually create a company that like does all this for create a company that does all this for companies. So like guest outreach, podcast production. I'll even host like interviews for companies. So yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of media, a lot of
Right.
content, a lot of video. And I think that's been an intersection of like both of those. So yeah, I'm very, very media driven, I would say.
Right. Well, and the rise of social media and every company that I go to, every company that I speak to, and of course, obviously, Love Your Sales being a sales company where we become salespeople for,
Yeah, yeah.
we don't do marketing, and so often those organizations are like, oh, okay, well, what should we do on the marketing side? And I'm like, I'm a salesperson.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I know marketing at a high level, but they all want content and they
Mhm.
want it easily to be able to post on LinkedIn,
Yep.
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and to create, and I don't know, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure the audience knows, but all of those different platforms sometimes require different format. I mean, you can't
Yeah.
post the same thing on LinkedIn that you do on like TikTok,
TikTok. Yeah.
because you have to have a different format and you have to have a
Yep.
different length and you have to have, and so sitting down and creating all of that is for an entrepreneur, for a small business, it's a nightmare.
It's a lot. It's too much.
It is. You need another human being just to create, and so you're either hiring an entire marketing team,
Yep.
and then when you flex, you need even more. And
Hmm.
then your marketing team is not only creating all of that stuff, but then on top of that, you're like, oh, by the way, you have to put this in all of these other formats, and you
Formats.
have to
Yep.
do.
It's too much. Yeah, so that's what like we really like hit home on is like it's for those marketing teams that want video but just like don't have that time, don't have the resources, they just don't have it. So that's why we prefer to work with like those smaller brands, because I
Right.
love talking with like small business owners, not small, yeah, like small business owners, mid market size
Right.
companies, just because like we can relate to them in such a better way, and that's who I sold this to at HubSpot. That's just like those conversation people in marketing and sales are like the absolute best. Like they're so much fun to
Right.
talk to. So yeah, that's definitely hammering home like who we're trying to sell to within
Right.
like the intersection of media and the value points that we're trying to hit on.
Well, and they're the greatest people to talk to because they
They are.
understand.
Hmm.
They understand. You go to an owner of an organization and they're like, well, what's my immediate ROI? And you're like, well, I mean, I can explain the ROI. You're getting in
Yeah,
front of it, but the immediate ROI, it's like,
it's hard to calculate.
it is, because my first podcast that I ever had was for a company I worked at. And
Okay.
after like maybe 15 episodes, the owner came to me and goes, okay, can you explain what the ROI is now? And how is it going? And I'm like, uh, well, no, I can't give you what your ROI is yet. Like,
Yeah.
we're literally just getting this up and running and we're starting to
Oh
get
yeah.
views. I'm
It,
like, there's not a number to give you yet.
yeah, that's podcasting is for any company too that's smaller. I actually think podcasting is like a gem, just because one, you get a long form content in a 30-minute video, you can get short form content, you can get a blog out of it, you get to connect with potentially how you do it, you can connect with your ICP. I think podcasting for small businesses is like a great lead gen magnet to actually get content out in like kind of one way. So that's a great investment. So after 15 episodes, though, it's kind of tough to do it, but still, you could get 45 pieces of content out of 15
Right.
episodes.
Right. And you're building, a company is building themselves as an expert in their field.
Exactly.
And that company is now becoming like, wow, okay, I want to go and talk to that company because they know exactly what's happening in the market of XYZ.
Exactly.
So anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
I'm a salesperson too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So, we're coming to time. I want to give you, I know we've talked obviously already a little bit about your background and your company, but I want to give you your 30-second shameless pitch to
Yeah.
get it out there and hopefully get some customers out of this, or at least some appointments. So
Yeah.
go at it,
Absolutely.
Ryan.
Yeah. If you guys are like a sales leader, a business owner, entrepreneur, or whatnot, we do work with companies similar. We've worked with like ISO, the International Standards Organization, US Army. We've worked with startups like GPR, Butter CMS, Vanta. They're not a startup, but we've worked with all these companies to develop some awesome content that they've used on like their website, social media, sales collateral, email collateral. So if you're looking to build out your sales funnel with like great modern content, then video is a great way to do that. And yeah, we can help you guys do that in a very easy way for you. And yeah, I think you'll find that our pricing is much more friendly to you guys compared to some of the bigger names out there. So yeah, if anyone is interested, yeah, definitely please reach us out at www.spacebarvisuals.com. Let us know that you listen to this episode and we'll probably cut you a deal. So yeah, definitely that's kind of the little pitch right there of who I am, I guess, and what we do.
Amazing. And again, Ryan, how can they contact you? I know that you just gave your website. Is there any other place that they should reach out to you on?
Yep. So you guys can reach out to our website, spacebarvisuals.com. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn, Ryan Atkinson, CEO, Spacebar Visuals. There should only be one. So it should be pretty easy to find on LinkedIn.
Perfect. And that contact information will be in the show notes. So if anybody does want to reach out to Ryan, you will be able to go right to the show notes and find the website as well as his LinkedIn profile. So Ryan, I really appreciate you coming on and talking with me today. It's been an amazing conversation.
Leighann, thank you so much. This is awesome. Great interview. You did a phenomenal job. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us for Love Your Sales. For more, connect with Leighann on LinkedIn and be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a rating and review. We'd love to hear what you think. Looking for a way to take your sales process to the next level? Visit us at loveyoursales.com to find out more about how Leighann can take your organization to new revenue heights. And be sure to join us next time for more great ways to love your customers so they love your sales.